Like that.
Yes, it was a great shame. Well, we're moving on now to what's going to happen here in Mexico. We're looking at Team Italy. Qualified well for both races, 10th for the sprint and now 12th for this feature race. They were just outside the points earlier on today, so Edoardo Piscopo will be hoping to just move up the order a fraction more. 2 pit stops, of course, so the team work in the pits is absolutely crucial to the outcome of the race. So the build-up continues, the trumpets are blowing in the grandstands. There's so much support for A1GP here in Mexico, and we're looking forward to a tremendous race. It's round 8 of A1GP World Cup of Motorsport. We're at Mexico City. It's the 3rd visit of A1 to Mexico. We were in Monterrey the first season. This is now the 2nd season that we've come to this track. A slightly revised track, but one that is likely to provide some great action here this afternoon. The host nation, Team Mexico, starts right at the back of the grid. So David Garza has a lot to do here.
Yes, but in many ways, you know, for David Garza, he's had a very uneven weekend so far. To start at the tail of the field is probably better than starting 3/4 way up the field. Either there or the front of the grid, but at the back I think he's probably quite safe.
Yeah, perhaps he can avoid the first corner accident. There's almost bound to be one. Well, let's see how the rest of them line up. We know that it is Team Canada starting on pole position for this feature race. It's their 2nd pole position of the season. In fact, it's their 1st pole position ever for a feature race, so let's see if they can capitalise on that starting position. But alongside, of course, Team Switzerland, current leaders in the points, are determined to try and open up that advantage again, in particular over Team New Zealand. But Great Britain and Germany on the second row. Germany in a strong 3rd place. There's New Zealand starting 6th. Adam Carroll for Ireland well up on the grid as well. Then it's USA and Portugal, China and South Africa with Adrian Zaugg starting 10th. Then Malaysia and Italy, Netherlands and France. Jonathan Cochet for France there, 14th position. Then Australia, then Lebanon, Pakistan and Brazil, Indonesia and India. And at the back we've got the Czech Republic and Team Mexico. That's how the 22 nations line up to start the feature race here at Mexico. Well, the track is awaiting the start of this feature race. The fans now getting ready for the opening ceremonies, if you like, the start ceremonies to begin.
mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero apresta y el brindón, y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en su centro la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Ciña, oh patria, tus sienes de oliva, de la paz el arcángel divino, que en el cielo tu eterno destino por el dedo de Dios escribió. Mas si osare un extraño enemigo profanar con su planta tu suelo, pienso, patria querida, que el cielo un soldado en cada hijo te dio, un soldado en cada hijo te dio. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero apresta y el bridón, y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón.
So the national anthem has been played, and in just a few moments' time we're going to hear those words to get everything underway here in Mexico City. It's a real fiesta atmosphere out there, John.
Yes, and the grandstands on the other side of the start-finish straight, absolutely packed, and the sun really bearing down on this part of the racetrack. And just I'm thinking about those guys that will be in the pit lane for the 293 pit stop. Normally they've got the shade and shelter of a permanent garage, but here they're out and there isn't the same degree of shade and shelter. I just wonder, may that have a bearing on some of the slick pit stops that we're now becoming accustomed to seeing?
So the starters do their business and get the engines fired up.
Gentlemen, for the pride of your nation, start your engines.
And they certainly are. And the remaining engines fire up. David Garza there at the back for Team Mexico. Up at the front, it's Team Canada. And in between, we've got a lot of feisty young drivers all hoping to score points for the honour of their nations. And as we get into this final stages of the championship, a lot of places and positions to play for. Great Britain looking to try and snatch 4th place in the points here today. They've gone up to 5th courtesy of the sprint race. They're now only 1 point behind South Africa, with Germany starting ahead of them. Well, they'll try and reclaim their spot from earlier.
Well, we're going to have to keep an eye on a number of the nations as they run down into turn 1, and of course Germany, who were denied the opportunity to go in the sprint race. Keep an eye on Michael Ammermüller. He will want to make up amends quickly as possible. Also, the quick starting Oliver Jarvis and Team GBR, he used the inside of the racetrack into turn 1 to great advantage. Equally, Adam Carroll, who lost out a little bit, will want to make up for that. He's got pace this weekend for the first time out and looking really like a podium finisher, not just once. Well, in fact, they were 4th, so they've got a chance here in the feature race.
Yes, definitely. The green car, the bright green car, always clear to see. There are the points then. 15, the gap between Switzerland and New Zealand, and 15 points on offer for a victory here. France still in 3rd place, but well outside the top 10 in qualifying. South Africa 10th on the grid, but now only 1 point ahead of Great Britain, so there's a lot to play for here. The Shanghai and Brands Hatch events still to come, so that gives us a potential of, well, what is it, just over 60 points from those races. There's 30 points on offer at each meeting, plus an extra couple of points for fastest lap at each. There's 32 points in fact available at every meeting, so still lots to score. But the way that Team Switzerland have been going, New Zealand know that they've got to keep pushing, attacking all the way if they're going to beat them. Pit stop windows, laps 8 to 16 and laps 34 to 42.
Yes, a big spread of somebody, and a lot of teams have now traditionally decided to come in at the end of lap 8, so they want to come in at the end of lap 8 and go to lap 34. We've got the best part of 25 laps before that pit lane will be open for a second time. And again, with the new set of tyres they get given on race day, most teams, I suspect, have opted to keep that set of tyres back for that long middle stint and use the best of the rest for the first and the last segments of this race. But of course, that's just my supposition, and I'm quite sure that other people in the pit lane have got it right and they will do something entirely different.
Now remember, it's a standing start this time, so the cars will head around through this very slow chicane. This is new for this year for A1GP. It's a chicane that's used in a slightly different form for Champ Car racing when they are here. It's been just eased slightly in the middle section, and that certainly helps the cars get around that corner, but it's still very tight and very easy to make a mistake. Team Canada then leading them round. They're not that closely bunched, so he's going to end up sitting on his pole position for a little while, I should think, before they're all ready to start.
Yes, I mean, that's an area of experience where when you come out of the chicane, you really want to slow the whole thing down, allow the tail of this field, probably some of them are still making their way up to the chicane before we get the grid complete, and then we get this race underway.
So beginning to move up to position. Look how they stay on that side of the circuit before they move across into position, because that's the cleaner side, and for the standing start that's going to have quite a bearing. For those cars on the inner side of the track, as you see Team Switzerland moving over to the inner side, definitely much more dusty on that side of the track.
Oh yes, and expect to see a large amount of dust being raised as the field of 22 cars goes down into turn 1 from this standing start, and again our cars will fan out once they get to the end of the pit lane where the racetrack then opens up to its full natural width.
So the front couple of rows are in position, but we'll wait for Team Mexico to be in place before we're all ready to get this race underway. And the starters box up on the left-hand side as we're looking at it there. You just see the lights top left-hand corner. That's what they've got to focus on now. Last few cars are moving into position. Given the 5-second ball, the red lights come on. Waiting. Here in Mexico.
It's a long time as
they've got a delayed race start delayed board is up. The start delayed board is out, and for some reason we are not going to get a clean start straight away here in the feature race.
Well, there's been a delayed start. That's a malfunction on the lights. The start lights, they came on, but they did not go out, and unfortunately the entire field were all sitting in first gear on the rev limiter, and the clutches do not like that. Is that Brazil that's slightly out of its spark?
Yeah,
it is. And I think I'd like to see the Brazil car actually in its starting gate and not slightly offset. That would offer an advantage in my view.
So that means that everybody's got to sort of calm down for a moment or two, builds the tension a little more. For some reason, John, we've had lots of clean starts this year, but now we've had two that are different.
Well, Ben, I've mentioned the heat, thinking about what might happen in the pit lane during the pit stop. Has the heat got into the starting gantry? Is that what's caused this malfunction of the starting light? It came on, and we thought 3 to 5 seconds, that's the normal, and 5 seconds passed, then 10 seconds passed. Everybody's still in their cars. We're waiting for that light to go out. They don't know it's a malfunction. They've got to be prepared to do a full-on race start, and that's, as I say, not what clutch is like. It overheats the clutch very quickly indeed.
So teams are back out to the cars. All engines have been turned off, and it's going to have to be a complete another start format. So they will get another formation lap, of course, which will bring them back onto the grid. So we're looking at a 4-minute countdown once again. We're into the normal countdown, and then we will try once again to get this race underway and get everybody in the correct positions and once again start this feature race. So, well, we had a problem at the start of the sprint race with an accident before they'd even crossed the start line, and now they haven't even got going at the start of the feature race here. Not the first time of asking anyway. So again, it just builds the tension, and that run to the first corner is going to be so crucial here. As we mentioned earlier on, it's a long straight, one of the longest start-finish straights that we visit, the longest, in fact, that we go to anywhere in the world. And it's got all that time and energy to dissipate when they get down to the first corner. And now, of course, there's going to be even greater tension amongst the drivers.
Indeed, I mean, it's been a day of tension. We had the start line shunt in the sprint race earlier today. Now we've had an aborted start. And you don't really want to go through this type of procedure. You want to get your start underway cleanly, but it happens regularly. It's not unknown in many forms of motorsport, be it single-seaters, sports cars, touring cars. So it's happened here in Mexico. The red light came on, it didn't go out, and the field is back on this grid waiting for the restart of the start of the feature race.
Yeah, we're going to see a flag start, I believe. From what I've just been told, it's going to be 2 green flags, so it'll be a green flag start rather than the lights going out.
Well, I hope everybody has told the drivers, and of course those further down the field, I don't know whether they'll be able to see as clearly. I mean, the lights are much easier seen, they're up high on the gantry. I assume that the starter on the gantry will wave the flags, but it's not particularly satisfactory. Those at the front obviously will see it clearly, but those further back are going to have to wait until the cars ahead of them move before they've got confirmation that the flags have actually been waved.
Well, old style of starting, although they are using the green flag rather than a national flag, but it'll be up to Peter Riches, who is the starter, who will have that honour of dropping the flag and sending them on their way. So we're only 3 minutes away from them going away on their second formation lap.
I hope they drop the flag, because I remember way back in 1970 there was a Formula 2 race in Germany, and what they did was they raised the flag to start the race. No one ever told me, and I sat there. But anyway, it is the norm to drop the flag. Yes, I remember there was differences around the world in terms of what they would do, but it is going to be dropping the flag. New race distance, 47 laps now, or 67 minutes plus a lap, so a change to the duration there because of this aborted start. So, sitting there calmly and quietly in the cars, umbrellas covering a few of the drivers. Wisely, the teams have brought them out to give the drivers that little bit of shade from the sun, which is pretty much directly now behind one of the grandstands, but it is still very hot out on the grid itself. It is. There's Paul Bellringer just having a last moment chat with Oliver Jarvis, maybe discussing this new start procedure and looking at what they can do. But looking at it, that side of the grid, Switzerland, Great Britain, etc., they are on the dusty side, and they will be very aware that they could be under pressure now. Adam Carroll's on the much cleaner side of the grid. Could be an advantage to him running down towards the first corner. Yes, and he's directly behind Germany, and I have Germany as being a potential dive down the middle, the outside, the inside. Michael Ammermüller will clearly want to make up for not having the run in the sprint race, and he knows this is the best chance for him since that race in Zhuhai to get back onto the podium. So the start has been pushed back just a little bit more, actually. We're now looking at a 15-13 start, so yeah, that's just over 4 minutes now until we get the formation lap underway. So it's just been pushed slightly more. You can see Jonny Reid looking extremely relaxed on board the Black Beauty of New Zealand, winner earlier on today. But he starts in 6th place for this one on, again, the dirtier side of the track. He's behind Switzerland and Great Britain on that line. Yeah, the thing that I think Jonny Reid's got in his favour, he's got a very good race car. His car looks superb all the way through. And while he isn't on the front row of the grid and taking advantage of that position, he knows that this race will not be won in the first corner. It can certainly be lost in the first corner. And again, we've got these 2 mandatory pit stops, and with a really good car, the only difference is everybody's not carrying a lot more fuel than they did this morning. That also does have a bearing on the handling, but if you've got a fundamentally good car, he's going to have a good car. And that's how he won the feature race in the Czech Republic. He was only 7th on the grid there, but with great pace, 2 good pit stops, he won that race, didn't he? So he knows it can be done, and you can just sense that sort of sense of confidence that he's got at the moment. Yes, and you might say the desperation that sometimes drivers have to contend with. He is 15 points, New Zealand 15 points behind Switzerland, but the key is that they got that win, they got those 15 points. Switzerland came 3rd, they lost in effect 5 points to New Zealand, but Switzerland have got the advantage of being on the front row of the grid, but of course they are on the slightly dirtier side, as is New Zealand, so one sort of cancels the other out. But New Zealand and Switzerland have traditionally had very, very good race cars, generally give their drivers an easy time, and in these conditions, particularly the bumps around the back of the circuit, which are very, very hard, severe both in terms of shake of your upper body, your neck and head, but also from your hands and your forearms. It is a tiring event. It is a tiring event, and here in this altitude of 7,500 feet, over 2,000 metre, of course, so the atmosphere that much thinner. Yeah, well, there's less oxygen to take on board to do the job that you do at sea level. And I think Satru Hermanto was saying earlier today that, you know, one of the problems he has struggled with isn't the physicality per se, it's just that the ability, and if you've got a bit nasally or a dose of air conditioning, it makes just being able to breathe freely, let your chest, your diaphragm operate as it normally ought to do, is more difficult. And you tend to, a lot of people are wheezy here this weekend. Yeah, that's right. A quick note on Satru Hermanto for Indonesia. Actually, got their best result of the season so far. Well, certainly his best result of the season so far. So Satru's own best result in 14th place in that sprint race. So that's good. Not quite in the points. Yes, so there was another change. We saw a finish for 12th and 13th place. France were credited with 12th, India 13th. But in fact, it appears France overtook India under a yellow flag. So that went to the race stewards as well, and the stewards determined that yes, there was an infringement there, and the positions were reversed effectively by France having an additional 3 seconds added to its race time, which now puts India up to 12th and France back to 13th. Those were the results from the sprint race. No bearing on the grid here for this race. This is a standard on qualifying, for sprint and for feature races.
Team Germany's car there, ready to be fired up. I mentioned a moment ago, race engineer Rob Creswell dislocated his shoulder. That was when they were actually pushing the car down the pit lane earlier, after it got damaged in that incident with Pakistan. He sort of tripped, got caught between the wall, I think, and the wheel of the car. So that was a bit painful, but it's good to see he's back out. He's been looked after by Dr. Trafford and the medical team here, and he's back out ready to do his duties.
Well, the best way to deal with a dislocated shoulder is to relocate it as quickly as possible and not allow the muscles and the ligaments to take a set. So it's a bit painful, eye-watering, but Rob Creswell, I'm sure, understood that, and that is the best cure.
So the grid is now cleared. The engines have been fired up once again, and we're going to try once more. There's the onboard camera with Team GBR. They're starting on the second row of the grid. There we are, Oliver Jarvis. Remember, this will be his last start of this current season of A1GP, because Robbie Kerr will be taking over the driving duties for the remaining 2 events at Shanghai and Brands Hatch, and he'll want to go out on as high a result as possible. Team Switzerland are directly ahead of him on the grid. We're all set then. Let's try again for another formation lap, and then the actual race start itself. Green flag will be given. There it is for the formation lap to get underway. A little bit of a chance for a practice start once again. At least they've had another practice start. Away they go. I think most of the grid are getting away cleanly. Yep, looking down towards the rear. There go the Czech Republic of Mexico. Everybody away cleanly.
So those clutches that took such a hammering while the drivers and cars were waiting for the red light to go out, had some chance to cool down. I wouldn't have been too anxious for anybody driving a car to do a full-on practice start. They had that opportunity a few moments earlier, and just give yourself a car a little bit of TLC, and then when they come round onto the grid for the formal start, and then they give it the full bananas. Team
France with so much to do from where they are on the grid, but remember, it's a long race. They're 14th. Jonathan Cochet is one of 2 drivers making their debuts as race drivers for their teams this weekend. The other is Jimmy Albi for Team Lebanon, who's been quite impressive so far. Got caught up a little bit earlier and had to have a nose cone change, but nonetheless has been looking good and has taken on board everything that the team have told him. Has learnt a lot this weekend already. But France, for them it's crucial that they're scoring points, and that's what they failed to do in that first race. So they've got to get themselves back into the top 10. They've already lost second place in the points here this weekend. They don't want to lose any more.
No, they're looking for a finisher's race. They're not looking to challenge for a podium position unless something untoward should happen to the bulk of the field. But Jonathan Cochet, he's come in, stepped in and picked up and run for France. Very impressive when he was practicing, and but didn't quite manage to get to grips with the qualifying and that single lap going out and just having to stand on it. And not a satisfactory sprint race either.
No, so sadly Jonathan Cochet from France not getting it quite together in that first race. Let's see what he can do in this one. But they do have a reasonable advantage, Team France, over their next nearest rivals, South Africa and Great Britain. They won't be able to overhaul them here today, but of course they might be able to in the future. Just had a quick glimpse of Duncan Tappy there, rookie driver for Team GBR this weekend. Did a very professional job on Friday morning. We had a whole bunch of new rookie drivers, but it's an interesting aspect of A1GP, these new drivers who join in. David Rigon of Italy was actually the fastest of the day, and it was his first ever time in an A1GP car, so a very impressive run from him. But here we are, John. Cars are now coming round.
Yes, and thankfully Rob Wickens has got it all slowed down, letting the tail of this chain catch up. He doesn't want to get onto the grid and wait as long as he did, and he did this for the first time. Going back just to France, one of the issues that, apart from that overtake under the yellow flag of India, Jonathan Cochet said they had a lot more understeer in the car than they had previously in qualifying or in practice, so I'm sure that France has done something to that. But you're starting down on the 7th row of the grid, 14th place. All he needs to do is just keep out of trouble, and I can almost guarantee him if he does that, he will end up in the points somewhere.
So here we go, let's try again for the start of the feature race this time. We had 2 attempts to start the sprint race, same for this, and it's going to be the flag start this time, not on the lights. So everybody more bunched together. We're not going to see them sitting on the grid for very long. Jarvis has this little technique. He stops a metre or so before his line, makes sure he's engaged first gear, then he just brings it up to the line. Intelligent way of putting the car where he wants it.
Yeah, it is. It's just simply a discipline, and it's a good practice for any driver just to have a little thought about what might happen at the start of a race, so he gets engaged in first gear and it rolls forward. So waiting for the start.
Here we are then, 5-second board is given. We're all prepared for the start of the feature race. Flag raised, the flag drops, away we go. We're racing in Mexico City, and it's a great start from Great Britain, and Canada gets in front. Canada will have the lead, but Great Britain made a very good start from the second row. Let's see what happens. Switzerland, though, going wheel to wheel with Canada now. Great Britain tucked in behind them. It's going to be a three-way battle for the lead. Great Britain trying to go to the inside. He's blocked by Canada, and Switzerland could take the lead. No, because Canada is late on the brakes, and 1, 2, 3 get through there safely. What's happening behind?
Well, there's Malaysia in the mix, USA. Germany dropped back. Germany lost out big time that start, but a great start from Canada and a feisty start from Switzerland. GBR tried to make it into second place, but couldn't. But look at the cars running down the right-hand side of the track. Down in time 4. Zaugg leads the charge.
Yeah, he does, but he's attacked by China. Ooh, there's a bit of contact there a little bit. And France going right around the outside. That was a bit too deep. He's trying to go around the outside of Australia. Gets on the dirt. Can't do much. Mexico in the background trying to get on, around the outside as well. Into the series of S-bends here. Now they're really beginning to pick up some pace through this section. And so far, so good. They've all got through half a lap.
Yes, New Zealand were a big advantage. They got from 6th to 4th place and kicking up the dust on the exit. Always got to be careful of the dust. Now New Zealand go to the left. Great Britain defend into the chicane.
That is significant, as you say. New Zealand.
Malaysia locks it up, gets it wrong.
Yeah, and he's going to have to shortcut this chicane and try not to take advantage of it. So if he does, if he is deemed to have taken advantage, he'll have to have a drive-through penalty, but he was quite careful to back off, and now he's wheel-to-wheel with Portugal as they come through Peraltada. But that start by New Zealand is crucial, and look at the Black Beauty now putting Great Britain under pressure. Jonny Reid is on a charge here, and he's going to attack as they come down towards turn 1. They're going side by side. Jarvis on the inside for Great Britain, New Zealand on the outside. He's trying to take second place, and in terms of the championship, New Zealand need to make the move, but it doesn't come off.
Yeah, but behind there's a battle with that Lebanese car, Malaysia all coming down into turn 1, but the focus here at the front of the field, and it's still Lebanon, Malaysia, South Africa, China and Netherlands. They're battling for the bottom of the top 10 positions.
On board with Switzerland, and you know Canada hasn't been able to ease away from Neel Jani here. Jani very close in behind the Canadian car, and as South Africa goes on the attack of Malaysia, trying to go around the outside, Malaysia locks a wheel, runs a touch wide, could give the chance for Zaugg, but he can't get alongside.
No, Zaugg wisely got under the throttle because the Malaysian car was coming across the nose of that South African car, and Zaugg did the right thing.
They're down in 10th, 9th and 10th places at the moment. Behind them we've got the likes of China, Netherlands, Italy, Australia, France well down, Pakistan in 16th, Brazil down in 17th place. Back with the leaders now, the red car of Canada, the white, blue and red colours of Switzerland. Then Great Britain overrun the chicane slightly.
Yes, they're too hot into the chicane. Great Britain and New Zealand have both used 4 power boosts left. They've been on it pretty much in these opening 2 laps.
Slide from USA's Jonathan Summerton. Portugal, they're running it solidly again inside the top 8. 8th place for them at the moment. Germany, as you say, lost out big time at the start of this race. Started 3rd, down to 6th place. Ammermüller has some work to do to come back from there, but there's a long way to go in this race and 2 crucial pit stops. All 22 cars still running. No change at the back. Mexico still the last on the road. They've got to try and get past the Czech Republic.
China and South Africa lock up from Malaysia into turn 1. China can't get around South Africa, but still battles all the way back, and Italy has then got
a problem of some sort. Could be our first car in trouble here. Might be able to get back to the pits and have repairs done, but he's back right off, and now he picks it up again.
Look at the start again. Yeah, but look at GBR. They really had the best at the start of those front 2 rows. New Zealand also great start from Jonny Reid to put himself into position, but here's the head-on view as the charge comes down into turn 1.
Interesting, that dirty side didn't affect them too much. Both Switzerland and Great Britain had good, clean starts. Look at New Zealand, he had to go right over to the inside. That was brave stuff from Jonny Reid.
Yes, and it was Germany, if you like, the sister nation who worked together, who's putting the squeeze. This is the view from Great Britain trying to find, not wide enough. Canada blocks that out. Switzerland almost, but again, Neel Jani and Switzerland are driving for a championship as well as getting maximum points. But don't put yourself into such exposure too early in a race.
That's right, so at the moment it is Canada leading from Switzerland in 2nd, Great Britain, New Zealand on the power boost and down to 0 already. So Jonny Reid has used all his power boost opportunities by the looks of it, and so he's going to have to run the rest of the race without that little bit of extra horsepower that the button gives. Well, Malaysia here under some attack from China. Here comes China. Moves to the outside.
Well, it's easy to defend on the inside, and he's got the speed. He just pulled out and one past. I mean, Alex must have got under the throttle so much earlier than Frankie Chang for China.
Well, that's a good move by Frankie. Australia in the pits again. They're having one of those weekends, just to get over and done with, to be honest. They just want to get out of here. It's been horrible all weekend for John Martin and the rest of the crew. This is going to be one to forget, but he is going back out, so we haven't actually lost anybody unless Italy can't get back out.
Well, the engine cover is coming off, so something mechanical gone wrong with the Italian car, and that was at the end of the third lap on lap 4 of 47, and we've got some 1 hour and 1 minute and 45 seconds of this race remaining.
Yeah, a long way to go. Canada just opening up that advantage very slightly. Had fastest lap last time around, so he's getting good pace here. Is Rob Wickens, celebrated his 19th birthday earlier this week, and driving superbly as he did in Durban. USA, Portugal through 7th and 8th, South Africa now 9th, ahead of China. We've got past Malaysia on that last lap.
Pretty messy for Alex Yoong coming through the chicane along the Netherlands to try and get up alongside in the inside, side by side going through Carroll, and Malaysia had to back out of it. They were on the high side and getting higher.
Side by side through one of the fastest corners, and that was good stuff from Jeroen Bleekemolen, very committed. That brings him up into 11th position, and Malaysia seem to be struggling a little bit, but maybe a chance to come back at Netherlands as they come down towards turn 1, the long straight. Behind them is the French car of Jonathan Cochet, then Brazil, Pakistan. Oh, and somebody ran wide, and now
kicked the wheel off the edge of the curb, and there's a lot of dust. And 9 is Switzerland closing down.
I think that might have been Canada, because the Swiss car much closer than it was, and so is Great Britain.
And the 2 cars chasing Canada have closed up, so you're probably right, it was the Canadian car that dropped the wheel off, kicked up the dust, and just that little margin of momentum would have been lost.
Let's take a look. Was it Canada that ran wide? Yes, he did.
And he ran wide very badly indeed, getting all 4 wheels off the track, and once again that momentum being lost, giving the opportunity to Switzerland to get a chance to get close. And of course, Jarvis team GBR say he did the same thing in fact during practice, but of course it didn't count for position or for race.
He may well have got away with that without damage, but you've got to be so lucky. He runs a bit wide through Perez there. And Swiss car is keeping the pressure on. Max Velti we saw on the pit wall a moment ago. You'll have noted that little error from Team Canada. That'll give them a little morale boost. But from their point of view, of course, from Switzerland's point of view, their most critical competitor is New Zealand. And New Zealand currently in 4th place behind Great Britain. So that's what they will be focused on, staying ahead of New Zealand. Ireland in a very strong 5th place still. In fact, look at Ireland.
Oh, indeed, just having a little sniff, putting the car, the green car, into the mirrors of the Black Beauty, just to remind Jonny Reid he may well be running in 4th place, but that isn't a safe 4th place. This where the battle's done.
Yeah, Brazil and France. This is Brazil on the inside taking the place. That is 13th position if he can hold it.
Ran wide in 1, and Cochet had a chance to look at it, not positioned particularly well in 2, but managed to consolidate, and France now under pressure from, well, that was Pakistan behind. Brazil in fact got ahead of France.
That's Pakistan. Adam Khan now on the attack, who's been putting in a few good laps here this weekend, as Adam Khan made a few exits through the chicane earlier on in the practice sessions, but with some good performances in qualifying segment 3 yesterday. He really was very fast indeed. Up ahead, we've still got the Dutch car, but here's that battle for the lead. Canada versus Switzerland, still with Great Britain, New Zealand and Ireland in touch.
Well, what's interesting, the fastest laps in this race are not coming from the first 6 cars. It's actually coming from China, who had the fastest lap in the sprint race. China down in 10th place, trying to hunt down South Africa, just a second ahead of the China car. So it is Frankie Chang with the fastest lap, not New Zealand, not Switzerland, not Great Britain or Canada.
Look at this. This is a run possible for Neel. Canada goes to the inside, and there's a run going here for Switzerland, going down the outside on the cleaner side of the track, and he may well have it. He's already in front before they turn into turn 1, and Switzerland takes the lead.
And Canada didn't use power boost. I don't know why, because they're under threat. They were giving both the boost away plus the slipstream away. Neel, superb exit out of the Perez corner, got in position, used the power boost, used the slipstream, and that's experience. Rob did not use his power boost. I don't know why.
That car of Team Switzerland's looking very fast as the tyres now have a few laps on them. Take another look at this. Picked up the slipstream. Classic textbook piece of overtaking here. Picked up the slipstream, had a faster top speed, and was able to get in front before he even got on the brakes. Didn't have to worry about it. Was able to turn in, and that was the reaction on the Swiss pit wall. Job done. But again, no major celebrations. There's a long way to go in the race.
Yes, we're now on lap 7. 41 laps in this race to go.
Now, the others have got to maybe think about trying to catch up with Canada quickly. Let's hear what happened on the Swiss radio a moment ago.
To get away. Canada using power boost to get away. They may be on limiter.
Interesting. Now, that was just before the overtake, and what was happening there was that they were informing Neel that maybe they were on the rev limiter and that perhaps he would have a chance down the straight, and that could have been borne out there because certainly he had the pace down there.
We did, but I think he had more than that. He had the slipstream as well to get advantage, and it was a pretty straightforward and easy pass, and Rob Wickens knew he was beaten before he got to turn 1 and didn't really offer any challenge. But here's a challenge coming to New Zealand, and then Carroll for Ireland running right under the rear wing of the New Zealand car, and I would say the Irish car right now is the quicker of these two cars.
Yeah, it does look so. Potentially, that's interesting because the Black Beauty's been so fast earlier. Another pass, that's Brazil past Malaysia, and that is for 12th place, and he's done it again as Bruno Junqueira. He likes that turn 1. France still behind. Drive-through penalty for Team Australia. That may have been as a result of cutting the chicane or anything really, but they've already had a pit stop, so they're not really featuring in the results. Pakistan, India coming through together. They're 15th and 16th, with Indonesia behind, then Lebanon, and then the Czech Republic. Mexico still at the back, effectively down in 20th position. Look at the way that Neel Jani is escaping now.
Oh yes, he's pulling away very comfortably, and he's not even using the car particularly hard, and the Swiss team are preparing pit stop window on 1 lap, and to come in this early, it means that the stint between first and second is going to be 25 laps. One would assume this will be the new set of tyres that they get given on a Sunday morning, but that's going to be a long run indeed on that set of tyres. But you've got to come in early, because if you didn't and there was a safety car intervention, then you may well have lost your advantage, and the advantage right now is just under 2 seconds over Canada and pulling away.
Now Great Britain's got a run going here on Canada. Down to turn 1, not close enough to actually launch an attack, but he thought about it. Did think about it. Interestingly, the wind, which was quite strong against them down there just before the start of the race, has actually eased off a bit
now. Yes, it has. It was very strong, in fact, for about 10-15 minutes. It's still blowing into the faces of the cars going down that main straight, but it has released itself a little bit. So
pit stops getting ready now. A lot of, I'm sure, teams will be coming in this time around.
A little error from Great Britain.
Yeah.
Just allowing New Zealanders have a look at the inside of the car. No overtake possible, but just a sense that the pressure is on. But look at the escape that Switzerland are enjoying, pulling away by the corner from the rest of the field, headed by Canada.
The pit stops are going to be so crucial, aren't they, when they start to be made with cars this close together. Every 10th of a second gain in the pit stop is going to make the difference. Australia are just completing their pit stop drive-through penalty. I've just seen them go past our commentary box window. But now, pit stop window open. Are the leaders all going to come in? I'm sure, yes, Switzerland in. Now, what about the others?
Canada as
Great
well.
Britain stays out. Different tactic for Great Britain, John. They stay out because they're being held up by Canada, and they feel it's better to be free.
Well, if they can run at the speed, their natural speed, as opposed to the speed they were running at behind Canada, they can maybe pick up the half a second a lap. Whether that will be sufficient or not, I don't anticipate Great Britain, New Zealand and Ireland staying out too long, because there is always the concern that if you do so and there is an intervention, a safety car, then you will have lost that gamble. You throw the dice and hope it works for you. It's a gamble, but you have to win or lose by that.
So good stop by the looks of things for Team Switzerland. On their way once again. We'll look at that total elapsed time from pit in to pit out and compare it.
Look at this, Indonesia and India down into turn 1.
Yeah, very, very tight. Satria Hermanto getting through there. 39.3 seconds for Switzerland. Germany get on their way. 39.6. 38.9, a slightly faster stop for Germany, but they were slightly further back in the order anyway. So, and a 39.0 from the Netherlands. So a very competitive stop there from Team Switzerland, and they'll be pleased with that. Canada unable to really gain from it, and Germany going for the earlier stop, which may help them once we see how everything settles down once the others have stopped.
So we'll have to keep an eye on the lap times of Great Britain, New Zealand and Ireland. Currently they're running on the low.
Oh, mistake! Oh, he's gone through the chicane as Jarvis.
And has he gained an advantage? He's coming into the pits anyway, so it may count. New Zealand comes in and Ireland, all three coming. So really there's no gain to Great Britain, and I think the stewards will just say, go on, don't worry about it.
Oh, and he's been hit by New Zealand. He stopped.
But what happened was Great Britain stopped for the speed limit line, and New Zealand failed to do so. I don't know if they made contact or not. It looked like it to us.
It looked like there was contact there, but we'll have to wait and see. Ireland into the pits as well then, and New Zealand and China. New Zealand making their way down to their
it's a
end
slow stop for Great Britain. It's not. Ireland already moving through. The wheel is off that left front, so Ireland. There they are coming down the pit lane. So Ireland has overtaken Great Britain in the pit lane.
Yep, great stop by the Irish crew. They've got him out ahead of Team GBR. So well done to Ireland.
New Zealand.
New
got ahead, so Ireland's jumped 2 cars, and New Zealand's lost out big time.
36.9 seconds from Ireland. That's nearly 3 seconds quicker than some of the other teams. And where's he got out?
Canada's just come ahead.
In front of Canada, he's got ahead. That's amazing from Ireland.
Well, fantastic pit stop. But watch, look, Rob Wickens is going to try and dive down the inside. No bit of time. He's on those new tyres that he's had 1 lap on. He knows what the car feels like. Adam Carroll for Ireland has gone out on another set of tyres. He's got to feel these tyres. Each set of tyres is fractionally different in the characteristic it gives back to the driver. It might be slightly more understeer, slightly more oversteer. It takes you that first lap to come to terms with it.
Well, that is effectively second place once everybody stopped, because Canada were running in second. Ireland have snatched that place. It's still Switzerland that will lead presumably once everyone stopped, but at the moment it's Portugal that leads the race, because Portugal have stayed out there. Let's take a look at
what happens. Hard to tell. I mean, I think he did actually nudge it with the nose. The wing probably didn't get the wing and the nose there you see the top of the nose. I think there's a mark, and of course stop now. There's a problem for the New Zealand car. Confusion about when he should have gone or not gone. He thought he was being waved out, then he stopped and was told to go again, and of course in doing so lost 2 positions on the road.
Oh, this is bad news from their championship point of view, of course, because they've dropped vital positions, and Switzerland have come through that first round of pit stops with the advantage. But it's Portugal that lead the race, not having stopped yet. Brazil in second place, and in France now up to third, as they've also gone for a later pit stop. But of the guys that have stopped, it's then Switzerland, Ireland and Canada. You're looking at them, followed by Great Britain there, Germany, and then there is the USA as well, part of that group. So still waiting for some of those other nations to make that first pit stop.
Switzerland on that fresh set of tyres got the fastest lap, 1 minute 21.771, and that's only 0.2 of a second slower than the fastest lap in the sprint race when you had a lot less fuel on. So it may well be that fastest lap from China, the sprint race, is under challenge.
Filipe Albuquerque leads for Team Portugal. What a great performance from him. Voted driver of the day. He comes into the pits now. As I say, he was voted driver of the day by the fans on the A1GP website, www.a1gp.com, where you can vote for driver of the day. You can also keep up to date with all what's happening in the race with the live timing and scoring system. So check out the website if you want to follow exactly where your nation is at any time during the race. Into the pits then comes Portugal, so does Brazil, and now that means that France takes over the lead because they've not been into the pits, and Indonesia are up to second place.
Well, all that frantic action for the first 6 cars, that's over. The Swiss car has got an advantage over, who it is, over Ireland. There's a 3.017 advantage, stalled it.
Yeah, they're going to have to give him a push to get him going. Filipe Albuquerque, that's the first mistake we've really seen him make since he's joined A1GP, but they didn't lose too much time through it, and he gets on his way. But I don't think that the guys who stopped later are going to have any advantage. I think the guys who went for the early pit stop are going to be the nations with the advantage here. Brazil underway, again another very quick stop, 44.4 seconds for Brazil. They also had problems.
You know, really the big advantage, the big gain out of that first round of pit stops has gone to Ireland, who leapfrogged from 4th up into 2nd place, and very conclusive pit stop by the Irish team indeed. And Adam Carroll some 3 seconds behind race leader, or effectively race leader Switzerland. Once this all washes out, France, Indonesia, Brazil have yet to make their stops. France coming into the chicane, we've got on Cochet. It's been a difficult, eye-opening weekend for this Frenchman, and that understeering suffered in the sprint race. I'm sure that's been dialed out, but a lot heavier car to drive as well.
Well, they're taking the gamble of leaving him out there, and I think that's probably worthwhile.
Yeah, but his lap time is about 2 seconds or more off the pace of the cars at the front. GBR.
No, that's France getting
France,
ready.
Okay,
so presumably next time he'll be in.
2 seconds or more off the pace of the cars that have made that pit stop. So they've got to get him in as quickly as possible. He might be leading Indonesia, but in reality he needs to get himself back up to the group of cars that were running just outside the top 10. That's where he started.
So certainly a big change around. New Zealand, the big loser in that last round of stops. They will have effectively dropped down to 7th place as a result of that. You can see them in the background there, the Black Beauty behind USA now, ahead of South Africa, then the Netherlands, currently running 11th, but that will become 9th once the 2 cars that we're waiting for still to come in the pits, France and Indonesia, come in presumably next time around. Then you've got China, Malaysia, Portugal having made their stop, have lost out. Brazil are next up, then India, but being chased hard by Team Pakistan. Adam Khan looking for a way to get past the Indian car. Good little rivalry here between the 2 great nations, and India versus Pakistan. This is for 16th position.
Well, you can't say Adam Khan's been bowled over by Narain Karthikeyan in this part of the race, but no doubt Adam Khan will want to right the rivalry between these two great sporting nations. France coming in.
So France in from the lead of this race to make their first obligatory pit stop. We're still waiting then for Indonesia. In fact, Indonesia stayed out. Indonesia's going to lead the race. Satrio Hermanto leads the race here in Mexico.
Well, why not? Nothing really to be lost by that, and it's good for the morale. Great for Indonesia to have on the record books that they did lead on merit in this feature race here in Mexico City. The gap between Ireland and Switzerland staying fairly constant. It's about 3.1 seconds. It's remained around that for the last 3 laps.
Away we go. France gets underway once more. And that was a pretty effective looking stop, but by going late, I don't think it's going to help them particularly. The leaders now come through. It's still Indonesia that lead, but we're waiting for them to stop, so the effective leader is still Switzerland.
You've got to keep an eye on Canada and Great Britain. The battle for 4th place, Great Britain, I think, is capable of lapping quicker than Canada, and just trying to get into position coming down the main straight. Wasn't close enough on this last run. France trying to get in ahead of India. These two, of course, bit of controversy in the sprint race, but he slips in between. No, Adam Khan says, you're not going to slip in between. I'm going to keep my position here. I'm fighting for the pride of my nation. 17th place over 16th.
Yeah, so France, I think, lost out a bit by staying out that bit longer, and now he's going to find that Adam Khan is not the easiest driver to pass. He's late on the brakes, he's aggressive, and he won't make it easy for France to take that position away. And that means that Jonathan Cochet is going to be in for some work here, if he has the pace to get past, that is, of course. And just seeing Australia come through the pits again. It looks like they may have had another drive-through. He's going through on the speed limiter. Indonesia's just come into the pits, so now everybody has been into the pits for at least one stop, and it means that Switzerland retake the lead.
So we're on lap 16, 32 this race to go. Indonesia comes in, they get that honour of leading the race for 1 lap. So the boys go to work.
Brand new tyres.
Yes, new sticker tyres, and I suspect that's pretty much what everybody has done. They've put on a brand new set of tyres for this very long run between the first and second stops.
Lots of revs. The danger of stalling is greater here in this high altitude and the less atmospheric pressure for the engines to breathe. Look at Canada versus Great Britain. This is for 3rd place now. Remember, it's Switzerland leading, Ireland in a superb 2nd, and then this race for 3rd.
But the problem that Great Britain have got is that this pace of Canada, 1:23.0, is about half a second slower per lap than that of Ireland. The 2nd, Switzerland leading, and I think the pace of Great Britain is actually capable of running quicker than Canada, but getting the position to make the pass, not very easy. They've both got power boost available. Canada's got 4 shots, Great Britain's got 2 shots remaining.
Well, Jarvis won the feature race here 12 months ago. Now he finds himself tucked in behind the Canadian car. So at the moment he's in 4th, Canada in 3rd. Behind them, the German car of Michael Ammermüller. Didn't get away well at the start of the race. Gained that a little bit back on that first round of pit stops. Over the curve goes Jarvis. It's a really awkward little chicane, that real no satisfaction in getting it right, and ever so easy to get it wrong.
And it's very bumpy in the middle. You get that sort of horrible vertical violent movement, which is just, you know, when you come through a hard part of the racetrack, the last thing you want is get a big shake-up at about 20 miles an hour. Great Britain on power boost now, trying to catch the Canadian car too far behind to pick up the slipstream. Maybe have been at a waste of a power boost. Has a look down the inside, throws the nose. No, he can't do it.
Oh, a good little attempt, but it wasn't to be. Now, let's pick up with some news from the pit lane. First of all, with Lee McKenzie.
Thanks very much. Well, I've just been down to Team New Zealand. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife. New Zealand usually have fantastic pit stops. Of course, Jonny Reid did lose out the last one in Durban because of a pit stop. It's happened again. The team looked very despondent. Meanwhile, Great Britain, they could not believe it when they saw Adam Carroll going past. They've lost a place.
Lee, well, just about to interrupt you. Great Britain's just taken that place from Canada. They've managed to find a way of overtaking at the corner that Oliver has said he doesn't enjoy very much. Well, he found a way to get through it.
He did, and he did a good job. There was pressure all the way on Canada. Canada went in. They didn't probably expect that overtaking manoeuvre from Great Britain, but opportunistically Oliver Jarvis stuck the nose on the inside. Wisely, Canada didn't try and close the door, but he's in trouble. He's gotten away with it, but the momentum has been lost. Canada will be under the rear wing as they come through the Perez outer corner, but I don't think he's got the outside speed. Oversteering midway through the corner, sliding the back of the car.
Yeah, he takes a wider line there. Jarvis seems to have a very neat and tidy line. Look, he's quicker out onto the straight. and that should give him enough space now to defend the position. The guy is moving around a little bit, trying to see if there's going to be a slipstream, but he's not close enough here to pick up that slipstream, and that means Great Britain now into third place. Canada back down to fourth and could be under pressure soon from Team Germany as well.
And Oliver Jarvis a little bit slow out of turn one. The car slid a little bit more than would expect. Canada maybe cut a couple of yards. Let's look again. Canada slightly wider in the entry. There's the door being opened. Oliver Jarvis used the racetrack and part of the grass. Look at the cars, interlocking wheels, but Canada's got to yield because the speed of the GBR car was enough to pull it away. There you are, Duncan Tappy. That's how it's done.
That was a great move by Jarvis. He found the space and realised Canada. Oh, Indonesia.
Czech Republic.
Nearly made contact, didn't they? But just about managed to save it. But that was a great move by Oliver Jarvis. Now, the question is, does he have the pace to close up on Team Ireland, running in second place? Adam Carroll on for a tremendous result here. Still a long way to go, though.
Well, he needs to find the best part of half a second lap consistently.
Oh, he's gone very deep, Salaquarda. He's going to lose it now.
He is going to lose it. He thought he might get it back, but no, he was too far wide, made the mistake under brakes entering turn 4. But going back to Great Britain and to Ireland, we wait to see what their lap times are now that Great Britain has found a way past Ireland. Ireland's last lap 1:23.115. Great Britain waiting for them to come through 1:23.290. So the gap's still constant to the slight advantage of Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland really are lapping very well there. Absolutely on the pace, although Switzerland last time around were a bit quicker. Switzerland, they're flying at the moment.
But they've just got in the best part of 3/4 tenths of a second in hand. Of course, they've got clear racetrack. They're not fighting to get past, or they're not defending to prevent somebody trying to overtake you. This battle here, just behind, you've got Canada under pressure, Germany running down, closing closer to the back of that Canadian car with the USA Jonathan Summerton, who was so impressive last year here in Mexico.
Further back, Malaysia running in 11th, Portugal down in 12th, then Brazil behind them in 13th place, India 14th, Pakistan 15th, France in 16th, and then they're followed by Indonesia and the Czech Republic, who we saw a moment ago, having that little tussle up at this section of circuit. Still that slight variation in approach is into this corner. China taking a deep line into it, but running down in 10th place. Despite those quick laps earlier on, Karthikeyan hasn't been able to take advantage of that, so he's only just inside the points currently. Alex Yoong chasing, then Filipe Albuquerque.
29 laps of this race remaining, or we've got some 40 minutes literally of this race to go.
So still some time to go, and we've got another pit stop to think about, but that's not for a while yet. They've got to get into a bit of a rhythm now and see if they can find any chinks in the armour of the car lying ahead of them. Looking back there, I'm surprised that New Zealand hasn't been able to escape the clutches of South Africa over the last few laps. Very little to choose between them, both lapping in the 1:23s, whilst Switzerland and Ireland were both in the 1:22s last time around.
Yeah, Ireland and Switzerland are in a different level of performance to the rest of the field, and they've got the benefit where they're not being challenged, or they're not. Ireland isn't yet, or it's unlikely at the minute with a 4-second deficit to challenge Switzerland. So Switzerland comfortably running in the low 1:22s, Ireland running just outside the middle 1:22s.
Look at Germany closing on Canada,
trying to put the heat on Canada in the same part of the racetrack that we saw Great Britain do that so successfully 3 laps ago.
And we all know how aggressive Michael Ammermüller can be when it comes to overtaking. So if he gets half a cent of getting an opportunity on Rob Wickens, there could be fireworks, because Wickens will also defend hard, and not far behind them is the hard-charging Jonathan Summerton of USA.
Well, you just got to keep your momentum. You've got to remember there's 1 or maybe 2 parts of this racetrack you may get an opportunity, and you've got to work towards those sections of circuit where you feel you've got the advantage, and where you feel the car you're challenging may be slightly less advantaged. Whether that's going to be down into turn 1 at the end of this long straight, but it looks to me that Canada is struggling, particularly in that area around turn 4.
Warning flag is being given for Team Lebanon, so presumably they've been corner cutting or something similar, so they get a warning flag, but it doesn't mean they have a penalty as yet. There's that race going on for 7th between New Zealand, the Black Beauty, and South Africa, Vulindlela. Well, trying to clear the way, but at the moment they've got a bit stuck in 8th place. These 2 top nations in A1GP racing for every point that they can get, but neither of them will be very happy at running down towards the bottom end of the top 10. Race-winning nations already in this 3rd season, and particularly for New Zealand, they're in a nasty spot here. Switzerland looking very strong up front, and it looks as though that 15-point gap between New Zealand and Switzerland at the moment is going to open up before we go to China.
Yes, I mean, all that can happen is we've got 1 more round of pit stops to go. We can always have a situation where a yellow flag and a safety car intervention, that would bring the field back up together, and that would certainly have a bearing on the second pit stop strategy should it occur close to that second pit stop window.
Ammermüller not able to close up on that last lap so much, so Team Germany's car still about the same gap behind. Canada both have a bit of a slight moment. There was a lock-up for Canada on a front wheel and a twitch from the back end of the German car.
Canada's struggling in that slope speed corner. They're not able to get the power on to accelerate out of the middle part of the chicane, and that's allowing other cars to close up. Of course, then once Canada accelerates, gets onto the straight, nobody wants to get too close under the car that they are chasing down in the middle of that corner. You lose downforce in the front of the car.
Canada kicked up the dust and were a bit slow out of Pereltada there. This could be a chance for Team Germany, but he's got to get a bit closer than he is at the moment. Is he going to go for it? Here comes the Hammerman. He's going to go down the inside. No, he can't do it. And Canada holds the spot.
The reason why is Wickens could see all that going on his mirrors, and he just released the brakes to allow the car to roll into the corner a little bit quicker, got back on it when he had to. But that's where a young race driver who's got a good racing brain can defend without having to go to the levels of blocking. But here, this is the part of the track he's most vulnerable, locks up that inside wheel, gets the car back in, but Germany literally will be following in the wheel tracks.
Yeah, tight, competitive stuff in the race for fourth place here between Canada and Germany. Great Britain have eased away just a bit, only about 1.6 seconds ahead of this battle, and not really managing to do much about the top two at the moment, although just got into the 1 minute 22s last time around, did Oliver Jarvis of Team GBR. Hasn't really managed to make much impression though on the 5.6 seconds or so that he is behind Ireland. Again, that little twitch under braking from Canada, and this is where Germany has to get it right.
Yes, and Germany's been consistently quicker in the middle part of the chicane. Of course, then you get onto this beginning of the Pereltada corner, the back of the end of the Canada car dancing around. Rob Wickens isn't fussed by that, he doesn't mind it. I don't think Michael Ammermüller worries about it too much either. Again, Germany just trailing the wheel down the edge of the racetrack, kicking up the dust into the face of the USA.
Yeah, both of them going pretty wide through that long right-hander, absolutely flat out. And again, he closes a little bit, but surely not close enough this time to make an attempt. And no, he's not. Tucks in behind the Canadian car. And as you say, the American machine joining in this. And I think that Jonathan Summerton could become a factor here.
Well, he's been drawn up to the back of the Germany car because the pace that Canada's running at is short on the natural pace that I think Germany can run at. Now watch going into turn 4. Is Germany going to have a look down the inside, trying to get alongside? He is having a look, but he had to withdraw. He could see that right rear looming close to his left front, and that would not have been a healthy situation for either team.
No, that's right. We saw him do that a bit in Malaysia earlier on this year, didn't we? And he doesn't want to get himself into trouble, so he managed to get out of it, and both cars through there cleanly. Riding on board with the German car there, through this sequence of switchbacks. Fabulous part of the track, through the trees in this municipal park. Wonderful venue for motorsport. And once again, it's putting on a pretty interesting race at the moment, particularly here for fourth for Canada and Germany.
Looking from on board from Germany through the chicane. 24 laps to go. We're coming close to half distance of this now 47 lap or 67 minutes plus 1 lap race. And the gap still Switzerland now 6.5 seconds, and to Great Britain from Ireland a further 6 seconds.
Again, no change between this string of cars. Canada, Germany, then the United States, then New Zealand, languishing in 7th from their point of view, 8th place for South Africa, and then 9th for Netherlands, and then a long gap back to 10th place car, that is China, still hanging on gamely for a possible point later in the race.
Interesting, the pace of Switzerland and Ireland has been so great. They've only had to use 2 shots of power boost, while Great Britain has got none left. Canada's got 3, Germany's got 3, and the USA, they've also got 6.
Yeah, there's not much to choose between New Zealand and South Africa here. Look how close again Germany gets to the back of the Canadian car. We ride with Germany, Michael Ammermüller, who seemed to struggle to get to grips with this circuit in practice initially, but then it all clicked for him in the final sector of qualifying, and suddenly there he appeared 3rd on the grid, which was a bit of a surprise because he hadn't shown that sort of form all weekend. Now he's looking pretty consistent.
Yes, again, like Oliver Jarvis and others we saw earlier in the race, once they got clear of Canada, they were able to run a lot quicker. Having said that, Great Britain and Canada, there's only just under 3 seconds of a difference, so the speed of Canada, while it may not be at the pace of the cars at the front, he's not running that much more slowly than Great Britain in 3rd place.
USA is that bit closer again, but certainly not close enough to challenge. Depends on his line out of here and whether he gets a good run onto the straight. I don't think either of those cars are
Germany
close enough.
on power boost, trying to pick up the slipstream. Canada not using power boost. Germany picks up the slipstream, comes down, he's going to have a slip down the inside. Can he get alongside Canada? No, he can't.
Oh, he's still not quite there, and there we are. That's how close he is to the back of the Canadian car. Good stuff so far from these two. And as they come through turns 1, 2 and 3, Canada keen not to run wide as they did in that early part of the race. New Zealand and South Africa behind, just touching the curb on exit.
But I think, again, we're seeing the Canada car holding up Germany, we know that. Holding up further back, we've got USA, then New Zealand and South Africa are also going to be drawn into what will become, I think, in about 5 laps' time, a five-way car battle.
Yeah, we're still 10 laps away from the second pit stop. There is the leader. What a big lead he has. 6.5 seconds at the fastest lap of the race as well. It's all going perfectly to plan for Switzerland as they try and continue to open up their lead in the championship. Real tension and desire in that team here this weekend. They've had moments where they've been so strong this season. They do not want to throw away the opportunity they have here.
A lot of paper being blown across the racetrack there, picked up by the Swiss car. And there you can see on the road, that's the physical distance. The camera, of course, foreshortens it, but it is in effect 6.684 seconds. That's his exact effect. And Adam Carroll running comfortably. We've got yellow flags on at turns 11 and 12, so somebody's got... Jonny Reid!
New Zealand out of the race. No points for New Zealand. Surely, well, I don't know if he's completely out. That car doesn't look too damaged. Maybe he can still rejoin, but the
he's got to find reverse gear and a lock up and a barrel going on. He's got ahead of Germany.
How did that happen? So suddenly, changes there. It must have all been part of the same thing. I don't know. New Zealand were further back, weren't they? So I don't quite see what's happened.
When New Zealand was running behind USA suddenly find their way past. Now got the safety car deployed, and this gap, the advantage that Ireland and Switzerland have had in second and first, has been lost. Jonny Reid's got it going again. And I don't know, I just assume he just went in a little bit too hard, and the consequence was he got it wrong. Colin Giltrap, historic face, looking at the monitors, and what did Jonny Reid do?
Can't believe it. What's happened? Safety car's been called. There it is, joining the track, and I don't know if he'll pick up. He may well pick up New Zealand. There is New Zealand. He's going to have to get on the brakes pretty smartish, which he does. Not allowed to overtake safety car once the lights are on, and so Jonny Reid is well behaved and slots in behind unless he gets waved through. I think he might be being asked to go past. Yes, he is, because they want to pick up the leader, and Jonny will be relieved, otherwise he'd lose nearly
he'll go
a whole lap. Now this is going to help him, of course, if he's managed to stay on the lead lap.
Oh, I think he's on the lead lap, all right.
Yeah,
there you can see the lead car. He just stayed on it, but he's going to end up at the tail of the entire field, and that'll go back all the way down to 20th place, which is where he currently is.
Yeah, that's right, because we've got still so many runners in this. We've lost very few cars from this race. And the only one we've lost, in fact, is Team Italy. So that is, well, a cause for them to have a little break, I suppose. We are, about just over halfway through this race.
And you know, we were talking earlier about what a sublime day Jonny Reid had leading and winning the sprint race, and then suddenly finding himself facing into the tyre barrier. Pit stop window 2, lap 34 to 42. And one would imagine that when we get to the end of lap 34, the pit lane will again be fairly busy. The tyres on the lead 2 cars will have done by that point 25 laps.
What an opportunity, though, there is presented for Team Ireland. Let's get down to the pits. There's some news from Simon Hill. Simon.
Team Ireland have gone absolutely crazy. They're saying that Adam Carroll's car is getting stronger and stronger as the race goes on. The safety car is exactly what they wanted. We know how Adam Carroll can race, so watch for this restart.
Thanks very much, Simon. Ireland have never won a race at A1GP.
No, and there's still a long way to go, and I'm not going to anticipate as Niall Quinn looks and smiles, but bear in mind that both Switzerland and Ireland have got 6 shots of power boost.
Let's see what happened to Germany. Got it wrong. Okay, that's what happened to Germany. Now what happens behind New Zealand? Make a mistake. Was there some oil down or something? Both cars suddenly...
There's nothing obvious. I think maybe just distraction from what was going on. But whether Germany was deemed to have any gain or advantage, that's probably why the USA car got ahead of Germany. Maybe he was radioed to let the USA car go ahead.
Yeah, that was a sensible thing. Otherwise, you'd have to have a drive-through penalty. So Germany probably wisely allowing USA ahead. South Africa still in that battle, but of course New Zealand now right to the tail of the field, all the way down in 20th place. Lights still on the safety car. We're not going to be going racing as yet. Still bits and pieces to be collected. Maybe there's a bit of debris around the track that they now are going to take advantage of this safety car period to clean up.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Just get the cars, possibly this will be the final lap under the safety car. We wait to see when the lights will go out. We'll be advised of that on timing and scoring. There you see the Swiss car, then the bright green, white and blue.
Here we go, there's another look at what happened here. And in fact, this was,
well, that was passed. That was
already happened
on the racetrack, yes. So whether Germany did allow that pass to take place or whether that was just circumstantial as a consequence of getting it not correct through the chicane. And there's USA just sliding down the outside. Unusual to see anybody slide past Michael Ammermüller in that manner. You would think he would have been more combative, as we know that he can be.
Yeah, but maybe, as you say, he'd already been under instruction, let the guy through, otherwise they might give us a drive-through penalty, and we'll fight our way back on track. So he may not have fought it as hard as he normally would. So the field is all lined up, and if we look right towards the back, let's try to see if we can get there. New Zealand was just about to join the back of the queue. There he is. So Jonny Reid will stay on the lead lap, but my goodness, he's got some work to do from there to score any points at all, because he's going to have to fight his way past a huge number of cars, some 10 cars, before he can get himself into the points. But the safety car will be coming in this next time.
Really, you've got to, Team Ireland have got to get the magnet side and glue them to the back of that Swiss car. Do not let Switzerland get the advantage on the restart. So Ireland really as close as they can get without themselves in the jeopardy.
It's going to be fun.
Both with power boost, and both will no doubt be on power boost. Once they open the throttle, you can use power boost through all the gears, but if you lift off, then it disengages.
Here we go then. Jani will determine the pace, and it's going to be Adam Carroll for Team Ireland who will go chasing. And remember, Oliver Jarvis of Great Britain's right there too. Then there's the lapped car of Australia ahead of Canada, USA and Germany. Here we go, flat out, and immediately Jani and Carroll beginning to ease away from Jarvis. Can Adam Carroll get a bit closer on the exit of the corner here and pick up that slipstream?
No, he didn't. He lost a little bit of ground to the Swiss car coming through the Perez corner. Very aerodynamic corner. You get too close to the car ahead of you, you will lose out. And in fact, Ireland on power boost. Switzerland has not needed to use it. USA on power boost, Germany on power boost. So pretty much anybody who's got any despair is using it. Lock up on USA
locking up behind Canada. As you say, they were using power boost, and he nearly ran into the back of the Canadian car, but it didn't happen, thankfully. Then it's Germany, and following him it's South Africa, so still nothing to choose here.
But look, under the rear wing of Germany is Adrian Zaugg for South Africa. He's going to get a little sniff coming down into turn 4.
Yeah, he's not quite there though, is he? And Germany
he was actually under the wing. He had to pull out to the left just to avoid overrunning and maybe contact with the German car. So on this restart, Adrian Zaugg very keen indeed to put his car into that 6th place currently occupied by Germany.
Yeah, so everybody has got around again. I'm impressed with what they've been doing in the feature race. Certainly more sensible sort of stuff, despite the closeness of the racing. They've kept it clean, and although they always run a little bit wide out of that turn 10, no problems. Down to the chicane, this is where we might see 1 or 2 errors at the end of this first lap of the restart. And again, pretty sensible stuff. Germany holding to 6th in front of South Africa. There's a look at that Swiss car. Looks sublime through the Perez corner. Just a little bit of a drift, totally under control.
Yes, and of course, again, the full advantage of having clear air ahead of you, no distractions from cars that you're trying to put in yourself into position to overtake. Runs down very comfortably with still 6 shots of his power boost, should they be needed, with 18 laps of this race to go, or 24 minutes and 20 seconds. And this again is going to be very close, and it may well turn out to be a timed race.
There's a very fast lap from Switzerland on the restart of 1:22.8, 1:23.3 for Ireland, which was matched pretty much, in fact, by Oliver Jarvis right behind. So GBR are the ones who've gained from that safety car, because they are close to Ireland, and certainly when the pit stops occur, then there could be a real race on between those two teams.
Remember, Ireland did have that very, very fast pit stop, quickest we think of all, as the USA and Canada are battling going through turn 5. South Africa likewise trying to keep the heat on the rear of Team Germany.
New Zealand's gained 1 place last time around, up to 19th. They managed to get past Lebanon on that last lap, but he's got a long way to go. Mexico will be the next one that New Zealand will try to pass.
So the USA running up close to the back, have a little look down the inside, nowhere near close enough. But again, good tactics, try to distract the driver that you're running down. Put your car in the mirrors of the car, make him think, no, he's not going to try and pass me here. Start him thinking backwards rather than thinking forwards. That's always a good ploy.
Through Perez once again for the Swiss machine, and it is definitely running like clockwork. A 1:22.4, 0.6 of a second gained again by Jani over Ireland and then Great Britain, and they're not able to challenge at this stage. The Swiss car's just too fast for them, as it was in qualifying yesterday. Didn't quite get pole, he backed off under the yellows for that segment before that. Here comes New Zealand gaining places then, trying to anyway, and trying to get past the Czech Republic now by the looks of things. Can Can he make it happen down into turn 1? Running side by side, he's going to try and get into, nearly into turn 2.
No, and you've got to be very careful unless you're completely alongside. As you turn into turn 2, you've got to back out of it, because inevitably that car will sweep across the front of you, and you do not want to put yourself in any further jeopardy. Bad enough that incident up at the chicane. I don't really understand why. It looked like a pretty much unforced error, unless there's something that we will learn later from Team New Zealand.
Yeah, he's managed to get past Mexico on that last lap, so he has gained a car or 1 position per lap so far since the restart. But he obviously was denied getting past the Czech Republic, as we saw there, and it's just going to get harder and harder as he moves up through the order, and as they get spaced out a little bit too. So down towards the chicane for this sort of midfield group. Malaysia running 10th, Portugal 11th, Brazil in 12th, India 13th, still Pakistan right behind them as they have been throughout most of the race. We've only got 3 laps until the pit lane opens again.
And of course, key to the outcome and the final point standing is that France are in 15th place, well and truly outside of the top 10, and look like they're going to fail to score here in the feature race as well.
Yeah, there is France in the middle of that pack. Got Indonesia behind. Sachi Hermanto's having one of the weekends of his season, I would say. Good result in the sprint race. He's been pretty consistent. Here we go. New Zealand's going to try again on the Czech Republic. Moves to the outside. Czech Republic doing a good job of just sort of holding the inside on the run down into turn 1. But he still can't do it.
Filipe Salaquarda is doing a good job. Well, that's the Spanish blood in the Czech driver.
Yeah, that's right. And he's not going to give up that place without a fight. Why should he? Just take another look at this.
This is the 2 cars coming down, and this is on
Canada and USA. Did he get the move done? I think he may have done. So USA has moved into 4th position.
And you know why he did it? He was on power boost.
Well, that was well used then, because that was a beautiful bit of judgment by Jonathan Summerton. Canada struggling a bit for pace, as we've seen. He's held them off for a long time, but now that's another one through. And now USA, who charged brilliantly here last year to finish in 2nd place. I wonder what he can do this time.
Well, he's about 3 and a bit seconds now behind Great Britain, probably maybe a little bit more than that, just trying to get past the Canadian car. But Jonathan Summerton's laps are about currently half a second on that last lap quicker than Great Britain for that 3rd place.
Canada still pushing hard despite losing the place, but 4th now belongs to the United States. Switzerland lead from Ireland in 2nd, Great Britain 3rd, United States 4th, then Canada, Germany, South Africa, the Netherlands, China up to 9th now, and Malaysia in 10th place. So they're back into the points once again, courtesy of New Zealand's mistake earlier on. And here there's an attack on Malaysia from Portugal. Portugal trying to go around the outside. Albuquerque has got alongside into turn 2. Oh, little lock up. Oh, great stuff. Good move by Filip Albuquerque.
Absolutely, very, very committed indeed. Alex Yoong squeezed him as much as he could without making contact now. Brazil looking to get past the Malaysia car, which did lose momentum. One way, then back the other way into turn 4. Watch Malaysia for a lock-up in case they can... No, can he come the inside? He gets alongside. Is there contact? Is it going to be side by side through 4 and 5? Well done, both drivers.
Oh, they've done it very well, as you say, and Junqueira gets the place. So Brazil now gain 1. Portugal are into 10th. Brazil up to 11th. Malaysia's lost 2 places in 1 lap. Alex Yoong won't be pleased about that, but it was good, fair racing.
On lap 33, the pit stop window will open on lap 34.
So we're into a very critical stage of this race now, where the pit stops could well determine. Malaysia too deep, too fast into the braking area. Just
and France almost runs into the back of the Pakistan car, and likewise behind France, it was Indonesia who nearly clipped the rear of that French car.
And that was all because Malaysia made the mistake into the corner, and everyone backed up.
Oh, Alex Yoong
sliding through the fastest corner. Big opposite lock correction there at about 150 miles an hour.
Well, I guarantee he'll be one of the first in for a fresh set of tyres. He will not want that to be repeated too often. Side by side again.
Oh, Canada hit each other, and the Hammerman has hit the Canadian car. Couldn't see what whose fault it was, not as yet, but another contact there between Canada and Germany, the battle for 5th.
Well, Canada was on the Germany was on the outside of the corner. Canada not under pressure from South Africa into turn 4.
Is that car damaged? That's the question. There was definite contact between them.
Depends where the hit took place. Doesn't look. There's the nose of the Germany car.
Oh dear. So Germany again. Let's take another look at this, John. How'd it go?
Down the inside for Germany, Canada on the outside. Canada quite right not to concede, but did he give enough room to the German car? Well, we can't see from that angle, but certainly Michael Ammermüller was on the inside of the corner. He just boots the car to drive it through the dust and the grass, but that is in effect all over for Germany here this afternoon.
Well, he certainly had a go. Difficult, as you say, to judge the damage to the car, sadly. And there he is, trailing his way back round to the pits. It's been a bit of a horrible weekend. They didn't get the car out after it was damaged in the sprint race, and now he's not going to finish the feature. Well, he may finish it, but he's not going to be in the points. There's a fair bit of damage to the front of the car now. An expensive weekend. Lebanon versus Mexico. This is for 19th place. David Garza, he's still got a lot of support in the grandstands. I can tell you, every time he comes round, he gets a cheer and a wave, but can he get up past that Lebanese car? I tell you what, he'd get a great response if he could.
But he's quicker, I think, off that final turn than Lebanon is, so he gets himself into the slipstream. He's got 2 shots of power boost left to try and do something. No, can't get close enough, and into turn 1, there will be no change in position.
Oh, that's right, he actually lost a bit of
performance. I don't know why, like he backed off.
Unless maybe he's hitting
Pit
the
window open.
Now, pits, yes, as you say. So Ireland are getting ready for their stop. Of course, I should imagine that Switzerland will be doing likewise. The gap between them, 3.7 seconds. So Switzerland have done well to open up enough of an advantage. Nose cone change required on the German car. But is there any other damage that they also need to worry about?
Most of the damage will be that no Switzerland come through the chicane. Are they going to come into the pit lane on the exit of the chicane? Looks like it to me. So Neel Jani for Switzerland drives into the pit lane. Ireland, we know, will follow the Irish team on the pit lane, waiting for Adam Carroll.
So he heads round, gets down to the speed limit on the line, picks up the speed limit button and takes it all the way down to the Swiss stop. Now there's Ireland.
That's part of the reason why Ireland are so quick, I think, is because they are the first team in the pit lane, so they get there very quickly to get the car up on the jacks, the wheels off them, back on again. Switzerland further down the pit lane, so will Ireland maintain that advantage at the pit stop? So we wait to see.
Looks good, John, looks like a good stop.
Ireland are moving, or Switzerland moving?
Switzerland are not moving yet. Wait for it. Ireland's going past Switzerland in the pit lane, or are they? They're absolutely together as they're side by side. There's nothing between it. Ireland and Switzerland are both on the speed limit button, and then who's going to get the run out of the pits here?
I would have said that Ireland are on the lane. It should go to Ireland, in my opinion, and it has. And Neel Jani has dropped behind Ireland. Ireland have taken control of this race. They're in the lead, but never forget Neel Jani. 3 power boosts left. Ireland are... They're both at 6.
What a tremendous job by the team once again. Team Ireland have got their man out in front, and Team Switzerland have been pushed back to second. Oh, we're going to see a new winner in A1GP. Well, we've still got a little while to go, and Switzerland under investigation, interestingly.
Wonderful what that's for. So we didn't see anything that was wrong, but the Swiss team, they may well have been 4 running side by side down the pit lane. The lane that Switzerland were in is not meant to be used for the exit of the pit lane. That may well be why they're under investigation.
And teams were penalised for it in Malaysia earlier this year.
So that was, of course, when they were all standing in the pits waiting to go back out again. But anyway, after the safety car. So maybe that's the reason. But there was no gain to Switzerland, and therefore I suspect no action will be taken.
Well, fascinating stuff. What a absolutely fabulous stop by Team Ireland to get him out ahead. There was a 3.3 second lead Switzerland had going into that pit stop, and somehow they managed to make up for that and get him out ahead. Canada now in after that confrontation with Team Germany. Hopefully no damage done.
Left front, slow getting the car off the jacks. So Canada get out back into the field, and you must run down that outside lane. The inside lane really has been for those cars that are coming in, and for Switzerland to run side by side as they did. They felt probably they were just about ahead at one point, but the Ireland car was on the correct lane.
It's happening further down the pit lane as well. I noticed Malaysia and Lebanon are side by side. It's a drive-through for Lebanon, I gather, although they are making their pit stop now as well.
Well, they have to do a drive-through after that, so they can't use the pit stop as the drive-through.
So Brazil have just been are now showing as the race leader. They haven't been in for their second stop yet. Little tussle there between Netherlands and Canada.
Smoke coming out of the back of the Canadian car.
Could have been as a result of that incident earlier with Germany, perhaps. Maybe there is damage to that car.
It may just have been a bit of bodywork touching that wheel, fresh set of tyres on. It was just momentary coming through turns 1 and 2, and it seems to have disappeared.
Well, still lots going on here. We're waiting for quite a few nations still to make their second stop. So at the moment, Brazil leads. Pakistan in second, France third, Mexico up to 4th now because they've not made their stop as yet. There you are, confirmation on the graphics. 5th though, critical 5th is Ireland, with Switzerland 6th, because those are the first cars to have made all their pit stops in the race.
Now, you're in the situation of Switzerland. You've just lost the control, and believe me, Switzerland have had control of this race from the minute the flag, yes, the flag was dropped. Now, do you go on and challenge Ireland and put yourself into jeopardy, or do you think I've got 12 points advantage, France aren't in the points, New Zealand aren't in the points? I think it's pretty obvious to me we're going to see take Switzerland, unless something happens to Ireland, take second place, and we may, with 10 laps to go, or 12 minutes and 47 seconds plus a lap, take their first victory.
Well, let's see. Let's not call it yet, because as you say, there's a little way to go in this race. It's fascinating stuff. France and Brazil both making their pit stops, and that means, guess what? Mexico has taken the lead of the race on home soil, and that's certainly a cause for celebration for the local fans. It's been a tough weekend for David Garza of Mexico, but they are now leading this race before they make their second pit stop.
So just an eye on the lap times of Ireland and Switzerland.
There we are. There he is, John. Just a quick
race leader.
Race leader, yeah, David Garza. And he's actually not far behind him are the guys who have made their stops, Ireland and Switzerland.
Well, he'll want to get out of the way of those two lead cars as quickly as possible. He'll not want to become a factor, and maybe that could be the outcome of a race. So I'm sure he's being advised. Lock-up coming into turn 11, and Switzerland right under the rear wing once again of Ireland, keeping the pressure on Adam Carroll. Lap times matching 22.1 for both these nations on that last lap.
And Mexico comes in, so Mexico into the pits now, and that means that the race is definitely being led by Team Ireland, with Switzerland in second position, and there the fans waiting to see their car come into the pits and make its pit stop. He was in the lead all too briefly, but of course now, having made his second stop, he will drop back down the order. Still out there though, and still getting a huge amount of support from the thousands of fans here.
They sort of overlooked Team GBR. They are running in third place at just under 4 seconds behind Switzerland, but their lap, they are running in the high 121s, where Ireland leading and Switzerland in second place are running in the middle 22. So at this moment we have Great Britain as the quickest car, but there is a 3.9 second gap to Switzerland and a further about a second to Ireland.
Oh, China getting down the inside there, battling with New Zealand. This is for 15th place. France in there as well. Actually, it's for 14th place that France are in. China and New Zealand still trying to recover from that error earlier on. And look now, China trying to get alongside France. Might have done it.
Well, France sort of left from the track to the right to try and defend, but China's alongside going into turn 4, taking the corner away from France, and watch New Zealand trying to join in the body. Can't get done, and he wisely just backs out, lets France take the line.
Yeah, I think he almost hung back for a moment there to see if these two guys would take each other off, but actually that was a good move by China, and he's eased away very, very quickly, having got past Jonathan Cochet of Team France in his first A1GP race this weekend, taking over from Loïc Duval, who is busy elsewhere.
But New Zealand's really having to wait until he can find the opportunity. Unlikely to come into turn 11, and France defends very cleanly, very well, but in the meantime China is managing just to eat away. New Zealand will try and do something down the end of this long straight. Got to get himself into position of coming out of the Carroll's outer corner to take advantage of that slipstream. New Zealand looking to see they've got no power boost left. France has got 3 shots of it, so this will not be easy for New Zealand.
Well, let's see if he can do it down the main straight here. 8 laps to go, or 9.5 minutes, whichever comes first here, and down towards turn 1.
And France is on power boost. New Zealand closing up, even though the slipstream is growing, but not anywhere close enough to even think about a pass. So defence from France successful once again.
So let's run through the top 10 now that all the stops have been made. Ireland leads, Switzerland in second place. There they are. Great Britain in third, then fourth place United States. Fifth for Netherlands. They've really gained fantastically in that last round of pit stops. Sixth for Canada, seventh South Africa, then eighth place for Portugal. They're back up there again. Ninth for Brazil, and 10th place for Malaysia. They're followed by India and Pakistan, and then Indonesia, and now China. We're up to 14th, courtesy of that pass on Team France last time around. Now, Switzerland's not going to give up on this, but as you say, John, perhaps not prepared to take a big gamble when they've got such a big opportunity here to gain another 15 points on New Zealand.
Well, to me,
or 12 points in second.
If it's delivered up in a plate to them, Ireland for half a problem or a driving error or even catching up to slower traffic and being wrong-footed, then Jani and Switzerland will take the option. But I think that right now they see 12 guaranteed points, and they've got to take that, because New Zealand currently in 16th place, just 1 place behind France, the principal challengers, out of the points. So again, you've got to work from the pit lane and follow the guidance that's coming from the pit lane, and not just let your driver drive with his feet and not his head.
Good close stuff though, you know. Jani is not going to let Adam Carroll just run away here. He's keeping the pressure on. Different lines taken there.
Yes, markedly different, much later. It was a different approach, softer line from Switzerland, a more aggressive line from Ireland. Look at this, looking in the pit lane, Max Felty. Well, he's done the calculations, he knows precisely what is required of Neel, Jani, and I think those 12 points further taking them away from New Zealand. 12 points would see Switzerland on 140 against 113, assuming New Zealand don't pick up any in this final few laps.
German car lap down, so running way down in 20th place. Great Britain there with the fastest lap now, going very quickly, but it's not going to help him in a way that he's up behind the German car, so he's going to lose perhaps a touch more ground to the likes of Ireland and Switzerland up ahead, although actually Germany's going pretty quickly himself at this point.
Yes, and I think although Jarvis will not be overawed at the idea of having to fight away past the German car, he would like to try and keep in contact. He was running marginally quicker than the two lead cars, but that time now is pretty much matching Ireland and Switzerland, and of course Germany running down much further down the field in 20th place, running in the same pace, 122s, middle 122s.
Still riding on board with Team Switzerland in this fantastic dice that's going on up front.
6 laps to go, but 6 minutes and 56 seconds. So it may well be very close. It might be a time finish. It'll be close. I wouldn't want to predict which of the two is going to come first. 6 laps or the 60
Drive-through penalty for Team Switzerland, John. It's just been announced. Drive-through penalty for Team Switzerland. Ireland have got the lead in this, and Switzerland have got a drive-through. Let's hear news from the pits with Simon Hill.
When the cars left the pit lane, they were side by side. Team Switzerland stayed on the middle lane. They didn't go to the outside lane before they crossed the white line. That's the reason that they've been given a drive-through. Team Ireland know that it's St Patrick's Day in Australia already, and they are going absolutely crazy, Ben.
Oh, this is amazing for them. Ireland have never won in A1GP. Switzerland have been given a drive-through penalty. It'll mean that Great Britain will move up to 2nd place, and the USA could be on for a podium. They will move up to 3rd. But what about the championship? Suddenly, New Zealand's disaster might not be quite so bad.
No, it may not. It may well mean if they can get back out into the top 10, it'll be very difficult to see how they can. Currently, the lead between Ireland and Malaysia is a total of about... I got the number of seconds. It's about 20
Let's
seconds.
take a look at what
not
happened.
Enough time to come drive through.
This was the pit stop, John. Explain.
Yes, the lane that the Swiss car is in is not the lane that you use to exit the pit lane. And what Neel Jani should have done is drop back behind the Ireland car. That is a driver error. I'm sure the team in the pit lane were telling him not to do that. Ireland know that there could have been a possibility of a penalty, but they are showing to let Neel. Look at the Niall Quinn, absolutely delighted with the prospect of Ireland now with 5 laps to go. Finally getting the monkey off the back and taking victory. Still 5 laps. Don't count your chickens.
All right, we won't, but it's looking good for Adam Carroll. He's taken international victories before, and he knows what it takes to do that. But let's wait and see what happens. Drive-through penalty for Team Malaysia has just been announced, as well as the one for Switzerland. Is he going to come in yet? I don't think the team has told him yet. They're probably still trying to argue the case. They will be arguing and hoping to keep him out there. Switzerland stay out there for yet another lap and across the line with 4 laps to go this time. But Ireland have control. There's no doubt about it. Once it's come up on that screen, Switzerland are going to have to respond.
And it will be a question of whether they can get in and through the pit lane before the 10th car, Malaysia, comes through. I don't think there will be time. I think Switzerland will find themselves out of the points with 4 laps to go, or 4 minutes and 24 seconds.
So down at the bottom end of the course there through turns 1, 2 and 3. In the background still Germany running all the way down in 20th place as a result of having to come in and change that nose cone, but running competitively. Then Great Britain and USA. You know, USA's caught Great Britain a little bit over the last lap or so, so they might have to be a bit wary of that. That was a quick lap last time around from USA, a 1:21.803. Impressive stuff once again from Jonathan Summerton.
Half a second quicker than Oliver Jarvis in Great Britain. The gap is only 1.2 seconds from USA to Team GBR.
Let's listen in on the Swiss team radio, John. Let's see if they've communicated to Jani.
Okay, dude, they've given us a drive-through penalty. Drive-through penalty for pit lane incident. Drive-through penalty. We've got to take it. Get yourself into free space. So box, box, box. Push as hard as you can now. Drive-through penalty. Stay calm.
James Robinson giving that words to Neel Jani. He can't believe it, I'm sure. Hits the brakes down to the line there. Drive-through penalty. Keeps to the speed limit all the way through.
India is 23 seconds behind Ireland in 10th place. It's going to take more than 23 seconds. Look, there's the indication that Neel Jani is not impressed with that judgment, but he was the person that opted to drive down the middle lane. That is not the outside lane of the track that of the pit lane you're meant to use. Pulls back in, and where is he on the racetrack, trying to identify all these cars? It's going to be the Malaysia car, and
the Australia car, that's
comes
down a bit.
Now it's
so,
India,
yeah,
so he
India
falls in behind Pakistan.
So
running
out of the
in
points,
13th place.
Yeah, out of the points is where he comes back in. So that means both New Zealand and Switzerland are out of the points. Still, they can't quite believe it down there on the Swiss pit wall, and Germany under investigation as well now, I gather. But that probably won't affect anything for this race because Germany down in 20th position. So look at the lead now that Ireland has, a clear lead, but Great Britain and USA have both passed Germany, and now we've got a real race on here for second position.
Yes, and I think that Germany would have been advised to let these lead cars go through there in a battle for the final podium positions. We've got 2 minutes and 10 seconds plus a lap of this race remaining, and just showing that's the outcome. So it is a timed race. Look at the rubber on the Swiss. Just chucked up, back out on track. So Switzerland, we'll wait to see when they come through where they will actually be. We anticipate they'll be 11th, 12th or 13th if they come across start finish line.
That was Great Britain.
0.44 of a second the gap between USA and Great Britain. This is the battle for second place.
He's on power boost. John, USA using the extra horsepower. Can he get close? No, he can't. Not enough. Oh, locked up. Jarvis runs wide. USA will try and take advantage, but he can't quite do it.
Well, when you thought it was all over, it's not over yet.
Certainly isn't. And through all this, the Netherlands are now in 4th place. What a great run the Jeroen Bleekemolen had in this race. Here comes USA on the attack again, trying to take second place. Can't do it there, surely.
No, not close enough, and too risky to try and dive down the inside of turn 4. Oliver Jarvis is in second place. He's not going to give this up. He won this race 1 year ago. He thinks second place is the next best thing I can do, and I'm not going to give it away to Jonathan Summerton, who chased me all through that feature race last year.
Yeah, it's almost rewinding the clock, except there's a green car ahead of them this time. But last year it was Jarvis and Summerton for the win in the race, and Jarvis just about held off the American, but it's now for second place, and they're fighting just as hard. Little tiny lock up into the chicane. They'll come around this time, and they'll be 2 laps to go.
Over the GPR car through the chicane. Now picking up speed. We know that Jarvis is comfortable with the car that moves, or not, well, both in fact are comfortable with the car that moves around. But look, America very close to the tail, coming onto the straight, and this could be the shot down the inside of the final turn for the first turn for the final time.
He's on the power boost. Team GBR haven't got any power boost left. Here comes USA. He's going to try and go down the outside. The battle for second place. He may well have it. It's going to be a battle on the brakes into turn 1, and they both are absolutely on the limit. Now USA alongside, but Jarvis shuts the door.
Fantastic driving by both drivers, fighting for that second place. Neither prepared to give an inch, but allowing each other racing room. That's proper motor racing.
Fabulous stuff.
Oh, shaking the out of fuel. It's the USA out of fuel. They shook around for no reason other than to make sure there's something has happened to USA. They've lost the momentum. Car's not running at the pace that it did some 15-20 seconds ago.
Was there slight contact? Did he get a wing end?
No, it wasn't. I think it was just I think he's running low on fuel.
Maybe, or maybe he ran onto the dirty part of the track and he's trying to clean the tyres up.
Didn't look like it. Something just, he was shaking the car around. We'll be waiting to find out at the end of this race. Hopefully I'll have the chance to find out from both those drivers. And Lebanon, what are you doing? Oh my goodness.
Right in front of the race leader.
I know, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
And we're waiting for the checkered flag. Team Ireland are coming through. Perez, are we going to see the checkered this time around, or is it going to be one more lap just waiting for the leader to come out? The checkered flag is prepared and he wins. Ireland take victory here in Mexico, and they become another new nation to win, the 15th nation in A1GP to take victory. Great Britain takes second place. USA finishes third. Mark Gallagher, Mark Kershaw, you boys have done it. Well done to Adam Carroll.
Well, from one Irishman to the Irish team, all I can say is finally it has happened. Congratulations. The team have worked tirelessly to get to this position. It's taken a rough season, but it's come right here in Mexico. Adam Carroll has driven a brilliant race for the team. The team have done a superb job in those pit stops, and it was a battle of the pit stops that took Ireland into the lead at that second round of pit stops. Switzerland paid the penalty for going down alongside Ireland and handed the race finally on a plate to Adam Carroll, Team Ireland. Congratulations, and start your celebrations for St. Patrick's Day, probably in a couple of hours' time.
What a wonderful, wonderful result, and the team deserved it so much. Let's get down to the pits. We can hear from joint team principal Mark Gallagher.
Mark Gallagher, at last for Team Ireland, it's come good. You've had so many bad days. What a great day, and it's St Patrick's Day tomorrow.
Absolutely fantastic result. I mean, the pit crew have done an unbelievable job today. I'm very emotional. What a day for Ireland.
Oh, well, you just got to feel for them. What a brilliant, brilliant result. And, of course, their sister team is Canada. They had a victory last time out. Mark Gallagher has put all this together. He's worked so hard throughout the 3 years of A1GP. There is not a more professional team in the pit lane, and they have deserved this for so long. It's a magic moment. Let's listen to their radio.
Just said checkered flag. Yes, checkered flag. P1, mate. Well done. Fantastic job. Superb. Well done, boys.
That was a moment ago, and now he makes his way into the pits. What a celebration there is going to be. That is just superb. For David O'Neill, the team manager, for Dan Wamsley, the race engineer there as well, and for that whole crew, this is going to be such a special, special time. They have deserved great results. It's been a struggle for them to achieve them. All sorts of things have gone wrong over the years. Ralph Furman was a great member of the team in the first season of A1GP. They had a podium finish, but it is their first ever victory. They struggled through last year. Michael Devaney worked hard, so did Richard Lyons, but it never quite came right for them. But now it has for Adam Carroll. And this is going to be the start of a long, long night of celebration, there's no doubt about it. He's trying to find his guys. Where are they? Where can I find my guys? I want to celebrate. And this Lee down there with him will try and get a word in a second or two, although they'll probably be taken straight up to the podium. Here come the guys. They're going to be trying to find him as well. Niall Quinn on the left there, the rookie driver. He did a magic job here on Friday morning. He was very, very fast. Great Britain, a superb second place here today. Another great battle. Oh, he's found his boys at last. There they are. And I'm sure they can't quite believe that it's finally happened for them. Just look at that. These guys have worked so hard. And those two pit stops were just magic. There's Dave O'Neill in the middle there with the sunglasses on, the team manager who has cracked the whip there at that team to get this result for so long. Jonathan Summerton, though, what a result for him as well. They've had a tough, tough year, has Team USA, and that is their first podium finish. And he's also congratulated because he deserved that very much. What a good drive that was. The battle he had with Oliver Jarvis towards the end. 2 podium finishes today for Great Britain, the only nation to appear on the podium. Oliver Jarvis, the only guy on the podium for both races, and in his last outing for Team GBR in this third season of A1GP, well, that is absolutely what the team were asking for. Confirmation of the result here in Mexico City of the feature race. It's Ireland taking their first ever win, with Great Britain second and the United States third. A superb fourth for the Netherlands, who fought their way throughout the afternoon to earn that position. Canada fifth, South Africa sixth, and Portugal seventh. Brazil finished in 8th place, India in 9th, despite a long way back at the start of the race, and the final point went to China. Indonesia, brilliant result for Satrio Hermanto, that's his best ever finish, and New Zealand finished in 12th. Bit of a disaster for them, but it was also a disaster for Switzerland as well, of course. Jonathan Cochet for France was out of the points. Mexico finished in 14th place ultimately. And looking on down the list, it's Switzerland who paid the biggest penalty of all, that drive-through penalty costing them a potential second place at least. And they scored no points today in the feature race, despite having been on the podium earlier. Great Britain ended up with the point for fastest lap. Well, what do we say after a race of real turning fortunes, and particularly you have to feel for Team Switzerland, that drive-through penalty costing them the chance of further extending their series lead. It will remain at 15 points, their advantage going into the final 2 events, but there is Adam Carroll, and there is going to be the light up and down pit lane for that result. He has done it. He's taken Ireland's first victory. It seems to have been a long time coming. And that's nice to see up on the podium as well. To celebrate St Patrick's Day coming up, well, it couldn't be any better, could it? And there is Ollie Jarvis. He was on that same position earlier on today. And I think he'll be pretty satisfied with that. And nice to see him congratulating Adam and taking third place and the first podium finish of the season. Team USA's Jonathan Summerton. You know, this young lad really has a huge amount of ability. He's been in the car now for most of this season. He wasn't in the car for the start of the year. He just gets better and better. Just needs those races under his belt. And there we are. He's come home with a solid third place. He loves this Mexico City track. He also is very fast at Shanghai. Qualified second there last year, so he'll be looking forward to the next race. There is Mark Gallagher. I don't think he can still quite believe what he's achieved here today. They have worked so hard, and it's taken a long time, but it makes it all the more sweet to get the result today. So the third place medal and the trophy awarded to Jonathan Summerton. He fought so hard for it in the closing stages of that race. Just like last year, him and Ollie Jarvis put on a display of hard, competitive, but very clean racing. And that's what we love to see in A1GP. So well done to both those guys. Silver medal and trophy for second place awarded to Ollie Jarvis. So he's done well today. He's picked up 24, 25 points indeed for the team, because he got fastest lap there as well. And the interesting thing is that Great Britain will now have got past South Africa in the points chase. That puts Great Britain into fourth, and indeed they could well challenge France for third going into the final couple of events of the season. So Great Britain, having had a bit of a tough time, now in good shape. But the gold medal and the winner's trophy for the first time ever goes to A1 Team Ireland. Balmain Team Ireland there get their trophy, get their gold medal. And Adam Carroll is proud to hold that aloft. And we're going to hear for the first time in A1GP's history the Irish anthem. Well, there we are. Very, very special time for the team and for Adam Carroll. And indeed, we've had a lot of different winners so far this year. I said that that's our 15th winner of A1GP history. It's also our 9th different winner of the season in terms of nation. So we have had a very open championship this year. No one nation dominating on the wins front at all. We've had wins from New Zealand, Switzerland, South Africa, Germany, Great Britain, India, France, Canada, and now Team Ireland. He can't open his bottle. Now he can. It's time for the champagne spray. And lots of people gathered down there to make the most of it. And Mark Gallagher's going to be quite happy to get a